If you want to save money on your trading card purchases, we have a promo link over at 50cards.shop. Enter the promo code ATNIGHT to get 5% off your order. Hey everybody, welcome to Nexus at Night, your weekly Vanguard podcast. I'm Atlas.
I'm Matt.
I'm Root Beer.
And for once we're recording this while it's still light out for Matt, so I'll count that as a win.
Also, it is on the day of recording, the Elden Ring DLC is out and great.
And he's going to be doing that.
Yeah. So if I seem distracted or something happens, usually I'll go, because you know, sometimes you just need to delay your roll more. Just delay it more.
All right. So, Root Beer, you brought this up to us as a topic, which was, is Bushiroad getting lazy when it comes to Vanguard? Or did you mean overall?
No, for Vanguard specifically. Okay. I don't know enough about their other products to really comment on that, but for Vanguard, it does feel a little bit like they're getting lazy, right? Premium is on life support recently. You know, they've been doing a very bad job about that. A lot of the products have just been erratas and very low impact products. And then, there was the recent thing where the ban list for Japan had no changes, and we just haven't gotten an English ban list in 6 months.
Yeah. And then and there is something to hit. People are dissatisfied with the Shiranui Luard supremacy and standard.
And the fact that we have no ban list is a huge problem, right? Because now we're just playing with their broken format from before the last restriction.
Yes. And I saw that Different Fight put out a video that's why Bushiroad didn't put out a ban list, and I didn't have time to watch it before we started this.
Yeah, same. It's probably going over the reasoning for the ban list not having any changes, but we can also talk about that afterwards. Because they did give those explanations, and I did not bookmark the tweets about it, so I'm...
Okay, well, maybe we should just start there with first the ban list, or lack thereof.
So yeah, the most recent announcement from the last product stream was no changes.
Yay.
Yay. I don't know if I want to go searching for their reasoning, but the gist of it is that the festival collection came out not too long ago, and then we also have set 3, so the explanation is basically the same for everything. Is they've been they've had a moderately high top rate, not in for them to be concerned, but they're keeping an eye on the interaction with all the new generics in festival collection.
I think what bothers me the most is when there's a specific problem and they go, we're keeping an eye on you, but the problem's already here.
Yeah.
Do something.
And it's especially weird because it's the same 2 or 3 decks that have been a problem for the last little while. It's all it's still Shiranui, it's still Luard. I think they're also keeping an eye on Varga because that's had a pretty high representation recently.
Okay.
I wish I could find that tweet right now.
Is it okay, so what denotes a problem to you guys in terms of format supremacy?
Obviously, probably there's definitely the aspect of too much being overrepresented, having a large conversion rate, and the general feeling, which is a little more nebulous, a little more vibes based.
Nexus at Night, the vibes podcast.
Yeah, but in terms of measurable things, oftentimes people will go to play and top rates, right? When a deck is overly dominant.
Yeah.
Also, if a deck is dominant too long, it keeps surviving various different ban lists and continues to be relevant, especially relevant at a high level. It's
Yeah, I think at a certain point there's a difference between like being playable and being like good.
Okay, I found the tweet.
Found the tweet.
So,
Go for it.
like Luard, it's on the watch list. It doesn't have a particularly high topping rate. Like Luard might be okay. Like it's not, like they said, it's not had a particularly high like use or top rate. Shiranui has extremely high usage. It also has the highest top rate, though not like exceptional. So that's on the ban list. There's one card from Festival Collection that Liel can like recycle PGs with over and over again. That's on the watch list, even though it's not particularly strong, because I think Keter Sanctuary got the one that lets your rear guards intercept. Yeah, so I think you like intercept with like a PG, then it gets bound, and then Liel can put it back.
That's neat, I guess. But that doesn't really like keep you. That doesn't make you win. It just it's like a good like defensive thing.
Mm-hmm. But like, let's see. Like Varga is on the watch list. It doesn't have like an exceptionally high top rate, but it is a strong deck.
Okay.
Not same thing with Rezael with like Saragon, and then the new set order that lets you like guard better. Like again, not an exceptional top rate. Like I think Rezael is probably fine. Zorga being able to use like Shadow Cloak and the new set order from Festival Collection means that it can also recycle PGs a lot.
I don't know why they're so like afraid of that as a concept.
Well, for Zorga in particular, like Zorga is a strong deck. So like the fact, like like obviously you have to be able to win, but like for a deck that is already like pretty good at winning the game, like not losing becomes important after that.
Fair enough.
And so like the fact that Zorga has like a pretty definitive win condition, like make your things have be really big with a crit, then the fact that you can just keep recycling PGs over and over again to not die until you divine skill your opponent to death is actually like relevant.
I guess with divine skill, your game plan is like, okay, well, I'm building up to a specific like money shot of a turn.
Yeah. But like Zorga's always been able to do that though.
Yeah. But it's been less money shot and more like, okay.
Well, Zorga's had 4 attacks since the mask version, and like using Shadow Cloak to repeatedly recycle PGs is also something that Zorga is able to do really easily.
Mm-hmm.
So like now that it's like meta relevant again with the new version, they're like looking at it. But yeah. So yeah, the ability of the set order is that like when your unit is attacked, you can take a rear guard that's not being attacked, move it to the guard circle, and then when it would be retired, bind it instead. So like Liel and Zorga can both take advantage of the order to like keep recycling the same PGs over and over again, because Liel can put bound cards back.
Right.
And then Zorga can already recycle PGs with Shadow Cloak, and then the new set order is just like another way in case you can't use Shadow Cloak for whatever reason.
Yeah. All of this makes sense. The rest of the Zorga stuff, the Liel, Rezael, whatever. Shiranui is a problem.
Yeah, like
the fact that Bracing Angel Ladder was the like this is the defense against specifically Shiranui. It's an $80
but also people just started playing Espera Rida to counter it.
To counter Espera.
Yeah, because that just gives you like an additional attack, even if you can't dominate.
Right. But it's still like something that people were. It was so over centralized as a deck that people were giving up the that spot for Bracing Angel Ladder specifically because of Shiranui.
Yeah, and then also like every time they print a new generic card, like people find a way to make Shiranui's early game better because they already hit the deck, right? Like they choice restricted it with the Dragon Empire OT so that you couldn't like restand your Vanguard and then dominate or restand your whole board effectively with the Dragon Empire OT. They also made it so that you had to play the proper ride line so you couldn't early game with Shoujo Doji anymore. And then now people have just moved on to playing the Dual Nation cards because they can let you like call a card from your soul or like make plant tokens, although I don't think people play that one. But like the fact that they just like keep printing powerful generics that become tools for Shiranui, and it's like, okay, so theoretically the balance of a stride deck is that it's locked to the late game, right? Like you have to start striding so you can try to early rush them, but because the deck just has access to all these powerful generics, now you can just shore up the early game and then you still have a ridiculous late game.
Yeah.
So and also keep in mind, like Japan has a diversity cut. So
right, I forgot about that.
So like so if you have a bunch of like X1s, they're gonna end up prioritizing like the more diverse team, right? Which means that like if you have a bunch of X1s that are all playing Shiranui, and then someone comes in with like Reziel or something stupid, that team will probably win on tiebreakers just because of the diversity cut, which means like Shiranui might not be as highly represented as it could be, and it's already the most represented deck.
That's even more of a like reason to put in that category of like, yeah, maybe they're being kind of lazy about this. What's stopping them from? It's not like Shiranui just came out. It's been a few months.
Yeah.
You have newer stuff. It seems like you'd want to kind of like bonk them on the head a little bit.
At this point, like the excuse of it being sealed product doesn't even work because they've already hit the Dragon Empire OT. It's already illegal to play out of the box. Not to mention it doesn't have 54 cards after they change that. So like at this point, you might as well just hit the restanders, right? Like that's at the end of the day, that's the real problem with Shiranui is like it has 3 different restander options to make like 7 attacks.
Yeah.
So like at this point, they should just touch the deck list directly. It's already an illegal product, so
touch the deck.
Yeah.
Sorry, the mental image alone is just. I'm thinking of that painting where it's like God and Adam reaching out to each other.
Yeah. So obviously, like the question of like, are they getting lazy, kind of stemmed from like their like not really balancing the game recently, because there's also no reason why EN hasn't gotten a ban list in 6 months, right? Like they could just give us JP's changes, even if they aren't as impactful as they should be.
Yeah. Well, because like even if it's not a card pool thing, it's also a like attitude thing or the way.
But especially now, like we have Saragon and Luard out together, and I can't play the deck correctly. But when you do, Luard has like a 20 card hand off of Saragon.
Not bad.
Or Saragon, but like that got hit really quickly in Japan at the same time Shiranui got hit because Luard was topping like as much, if not more, than Shiranui. Like now it's in a place where it's like more reasonable to deal with. It still has like a top. It still tops pretty consistently, but now it's a more tolerable top rate. But the fact is that like we have a version of Luard that is much stronger than like what it was in JP because it got hit so quickly.
Right.
And we're just kind of sitting around with it with no indication of if we're going to get a ban list.
Because it seems to me like when they tell us about a ban list, it's always like, all right, it's coming out in a few days or it's coming out on this day. And I think we brought this up before in the show about possibly them doing a scheduled thing. Like, all right, every 4 months there will be something about a ban list or.
Yeah. And now it's been like 6 months without one, which is concerning.
Yes.
Because like we've mentioned it before, the EN format feels like an afterthought.
I feel like the side chick, don't you?
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Which is weird because we also make them the most amount of money.
Why? Because premium is popular over here, so you have the two? Or like
but I don't know specifically, but I know it's been gone over by like different fight before when they talk about their like earnings reports. Is that like overseas sales accounts for like a large part of Vanguard's profits, and yet they still treat us like second-class citizens, even though we make the most money for them.
because they need they need to push another game that'll burn out in 6 months or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like it really doesn't make any sense how little communication there is with us. Like, it really does feel like they will only talk to us when there's just like this massive, unignorable shitstorm, like the beginning of 2023.
Right. That was a very interesting time for sure.
Yeah, which like ultimately barely made a difference because all of the problems we had back then are still problems now.
Yeah.
We got like marginal improvements.
Matt, anything to add about the ban list as a thing, or?
The last ban list was nothing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a thing.
Elden Ring. It's that interesting.
Yeah.
Look.
I mean,
This should have been an international holiday.
Yeah.
Juneteenth was an international holiday, or did it just drop today?
It just dropped today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
And then, there's also like their card design, which has felt very safe recently. Like they're not willing to push the boundaries very far on what cards are allowed to do.
In terms of standard or just like overall?
Overall.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, premium, like I said, premium has just been erratas for the last like year and a half now.
Yeah, because it's been erratas. It's been we brought this up in the Energy Press got revealed.
Yeah, and there's
just
no avenue for energy into premium, which is very frustrating because it means like some percentage of cards that get revealed every week is just useless, like unplayable in one of the formats. Yeah.
Now, I do think it's interesting that they had stuff that was like, one cost or the energy cost, which was kind of a neat way of doing it. Like the new cyclers from set 1 are like Counterblast 1 or Energy Blast 3, which was a good way to do it. But it also just seems like one of those things, like, why not include it? Like, just... It seems like a very overly like obtuse way to separate one format from another.
I mean, I feel like they just didn't think about it.
Oh, about putting the energy crest in?
Yeah, because like they clearly just don't design for premium.
Yeah.
Like I talk about this a little bit too, because like another tangential topic related to this is just like whether or not the stride decks in and of themselves have been a net negative for the game.
Oh, we'll get there.
Yeah, I don't know. We might save that topic for next week, but like the way the stride decks have been designed recently have like required the crest to function, right?
Yeah,
because you have Morfessa where it's like if you have the crest and 2 or more face-up cards, and it's like, okay, all of these restrictions are clearly being balanced around standard, where you will definitely get the crest because you will always have the same ride every time. And then, like, needing 2 or more face up is a way to just, like, restrict it to the late game. It's basically the equivalent of printing if you Persona rode this turn on a card.
Yeah, or if we're going to, like, old variants of this, Limit Break, GB3, whatever you want to do, right? Yeah.
I mean, rearguards typically didn't have GB restrictions, though.
Well, you had GB
that harsh
on a lot of stuff. Yeah, that was about it.
GB restrictions that harsh.
Yeah.
There have been a couple of GB2 cards, but by the end of... G era, that was also trivial and happened first stride anyways.
Yeah, but just like examples of such, I get what they're trying to do there, but they also seem to be afraid of mucking up premium, which means they have to pay attention to premium, which means
I mean, I don't think they are. I just don't think they're thinking about premium as a format. Like all of these decisions make sense when you think about standard and only standard. Because, like I said, like using Morfessa as an example, like having 2 or more cards face up in the G zone is equivalent to like if you Persona rode this turn, because there's no physical way for you to get 2 cards face up in the G zone that early.
Right.
And then like needing the crest to do anything is fine when you have the ride deck and you're guaranteed to ride the correct card every time. So you will always have the crest. Same for like a lot of decks where they have a very specific gimmick that they have to follow, where the ride line just sets up the gimmick.
Yeah.
Like that's impossible in premium, being hyperbolic here, but like that's impossible in premium because like there's no guarantee you'll ever find it, even with the like ride fixers where you can discard them to search top 5. Like there's just no guarantee you will get the card that you need, and if you're playing a deck that has a very specific gimmick, relying on random chance to be able to set up your entire game plan like doesn't work out. So cards just don't translate to premium very well.
Yeah, like you have like for the decks that have the crest getters and stuff, they only give you one, which makes sense in standard. But if you want them for premium, you would have to buy 4 of them. It's not even like the old days where it would be like one shiny one not shiny one, then you just buy 2.
Yeah, and also the crests are just like unbelievably broken in premium.
Oh yeah.
I played against Crest Messiah last year at BCS, and so they got the crest and then they got Force 2 because they don't need the power gain from Force 1 anymore. So it's like they're still swinging for like 30, 40, 50k, but now everything has 2 crits.
Yep. I mean that's just what I did in Messiah with you just use Volko Gode to give power to stuff. But yeah, same idea.
Yeah.
I keep saying that like there's no point in running the crest getters in premium because it's either 3 dead cards or 4 dead cards, depending on how that turn 1 is.
Yeah, but like the
rest of the day.
Like the payoff for it is so powerful.
The payoff is so powerful, and like I'm realizing I'm gonna have to eat my words because there is this hairy stride deck that's coming out, and I kind of want it. I kind of want to do it.
Harry Night Rose again. Although, why wouldn't they? To be honest.
Yeah, and also
you could just keep printing Night Rose. Just keep doing
Shiranui has been topping a lot recently. Let me see if the topping Shiranui decks have been running the crest cards. They might.
Oh, like
because Shiranui is protect, so it's like not like you need it. Because they're running the D version of Madoi. Yeah, they're just running 4 of the crest guy because why wouldn't you?
I don't care that it's vanilla 5k shields past the first turn.
Yeah, but who cares if you win? Because you have, especially because it's Oboro, and Oboro is the one that's being supported by the like premium collection, so you can still get your protect markers playing Oboro using the history stride, and then you also have the crest. Yeah,
and then in Harry's case, we're like the Magia, like having a Vanguard with Magia is that good that you go into Clifford every time. So I'm probably just going to end up doing that.
Yeah.
Anyway, depending on how good these rear guards are, we'll see. But
yeah, okay. For all the shit I've been talking about, like cards not working in premium, because Shiranui is such an overtuned deck out of the box and just has like a million restanders, premium Shiranui does get to just play the restanders.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
And then just fucking die. Everyone else. Cool.
Yeah, yay. I mean, they're only playing the one. They're not playing both restanders, but like, still.
Yeah. But like, so having all of these stride decks in standard, where they're just rehashing the stuff from G over and over again. And we're buying it because why wouldn't people, right?
Yeah, people are nostalgic for it, but also like every stride deck has been meta. So like,
except for Messiah-ish, but
yeah. Messiah was like the one stride deck that like hasn't made an impact. I think it's just because like the way it plays is too different from anything else in standard. Probably, so like you can't, because the thing that's defined the success of every other stride deck is the ability to tech generic cards, and Messiah can't do that very easily.
Yes. Here's the other thing: is that this comes down to like how Vanguard is made as a game, where the whole idea behind it is it's like your avatar. So you have people personally identifying or putting their love, I'm gonna say identities twice. Identities on these cards, so it behooves them to reprint them in every new format that comes out, because you have the guy who's like, oh, I'm I'm a Messiah stan, and here comes the Messiah train for this one. All right, I'm back in.
I mean, and I think that's fine. Like the regular encounter cards have been fine, right? Like the old Vanguard nostalgia retrains. Like some of them have had stints in the meta, like Prism most recently was a meta deck, but like that's fine, right? Like they were never an overwhelmingly strong deck that people I think complained incessantly about. And like the last time an encounter deck was meta was like Overlord for a little bit, but it like wins in the way that Overlord has always won by being at least a little bit of a casino deck and requires like 15 different Band-Aid promos to make the deck work properly.
Average.
I'm putting Band-Aid promos on my ban list. That's great.
Yeah. I mean, it's true, right? Because it's like, here's a card that counts as 2 discards for Dote, and then here's another card that puts the original Dragonic Overlord into your soul, so you don't have to actually write it, and you can just go straight into Dote.
And so on and so forth. Like, I would, as a Great Nature player, assuming they do, would rather get like Leopold or the Tester Fox Legion as an encounter card than I would Big Belly.
Yeah.
Not that they would. Great Nature was never like popular ever.
Yeah.
So
I mean, also like I think the problem with the Stride decks is also just the crest. Like the way the crest have been designed is a huge problem. The fact that you can scale power so easily.
Yes.
And the way that you just like scale power past like what most decks are capable of. Although I haven't fully formed this argument yet, but one of these days we're going to have a discussion about the way like Persona Ride skews the perception of power in this game. I haven't fully formed the argument yet, which is why I haven't suggested it as a topic, but like
put a pin in that one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
But
yeah, like I think like the way the Stride decks have been designed recently have been like not great, partially because of like the decks themselves being a bit overtuned, like the way Chronojet originally had tools to just draw a million cards, like Shiranui having 2 different restanders on top of the option of Esper Arida means that like you're always going to have an amazing late game, and so the fact that you can just tech all of these generic cards to have a really strong early game is like, ugh. And I'm not entirely sure what the fix for that is. Like probably for Shiranui, it's just like weakening the late game, like getting rid of all of the easy restander options. Maybe they only have the one, so that they cannot reach the ceiling of like 7-8 attacks nearly as easily.
I think okay. Do you think that Bushiroad is afraid of making choices that end up having to put cards on the ban list?
I mean, a little bit, yes. Like they have frequently just like pre-errata cards that have unintended interactions.
Compared to like Konami, right? Konami, Yu-Gi-Oh is an eternal format, and inevitably there will be broken combos, and then they go ban list, limit, whatever. And they seem to be okay with it by this point. And I'm wondering if Bushiroad's ever going to get to that point where, like, just design the cards you think are going to be good. And if something ends up being broken, because let's be honest, us players are little deviants.
I think sometimes Bushiroad lacks imagination. Like they clearly have an intention for a way the deck is supposed to be played. And so they just don't think about scenarios where you deviate from it.
Right. No, that's not how you're supposed to play the game. Yeah, exactly.
Like interactions with Inlet Pulse Dragon early on in D, I think is a good example of like, well, it says Flagberg on it. Why would you play it in all these other decks?
I think I remember them being like, but it's for damn it.
And the Shiranui is especially weird because like when they were promoting the cards when they were first being revealed, they clocked that interaction. Like one of the things they mentioned is that you can play Esper Arida with it to get additional attacks. So I don't know how they already saw the interaction where Shiranui gets like a 6th or 7th attack if you high roll and decided, yes, let's give it 2 more restanders just in case.
Yeah, why not?
I don't know what to tell you. I guess like why don't we finish up the episode here by talking about premium format, because this is me we're talking about. So I'm going to bring it up as much as I can. Anyway,
I've never decided to sit down and just make like a full manifesto of why I think premium is poorly designed right now, but like we can just go into that now.
Okay,
it's the same talking points that I usually give, but you go first.
I mean, like, fun fact, he's sitting in front of a green screen right now in a cabin in the woods somewhere, and he's something Unabomber. Anyway,
I need to capture Dan Olson's look from his most recent video.
Here, borrow my beard real quick.
I mean, your beard isn't long or scraggly enough. I have to look like Matt at the beginning of COVID.
Oh yeah, do it.
God, beginning of COVID, Matt, that was a look for sure. But yeah, so the last, like we brought it up earlier in the episode, the last like things we got for premium were like erratas or the promos, the top 5 searchers, and then these TDs that are coming out for Jewel Knights and
I mean they're more erratas, right?
Yeah, they're more erratas, which kind of like you have people excited for them. Like a good number of people in my locals are like, awesome, this is great. I can pass this on to my friend or whatever who's been gone a long time. Or I want them for this or that thing, but like it's not like new stuff. It's just the same old, it's Justin Timberlake getting arrested under a DWI. It's this will hurt the world.
They're not printing new cards, right? And like all my talking points are going to be the same talking points that I've gone over in many episodes, which is that like you're printing cards for a very specific archetype, and like that archetype has like certain needs, right? And particularly going from like old Vanguard to V, sometimes those requirements change. And so by bringing back these old cards that don't have a lot to do with their V version, sometimes you have to like give them new cards to make them function. Like we can't just be jamming 10-year-old commons from like all the way back in Limit Break.
Well, why not?
And it seems like they just expect you to do that, or to try and awkwardly jam the V cards that sometimes don't have synergy. Like I think in the case of these particular decks, they all do, because towards the end of V era, like they started making the cards resemble their original selves again.
Yeah, that was an interesting one.
Or they like made cards that were generic enough that you could just go between formats somewhat easily. But like you go a little further back to History Collection, right? And it's like half the time the G era boss has nothing to do with what the deck became in V, right?
Yeah.
Like Blade Master went from being just kind of generic Kagura retire cards into the Vision token, which has like nothing to do with anything else you're doing in premium.
I'll give you another good example. Thavas in G was just like, all right, hit X number of battles, do X number of things. Yeah. And then the V
it was
version,
Aquaforce, right?
Yeah, it was Aquaforce being Aquaforce. And then V was the weird thing with like resting rear guards in the main phase. So you can go into Lambros from deck and all that stuff. And they just kind of don't fit together all that great. I mean, they work. It works as a deck, but like there, it's the equivalent of like speaking Spanish and Portuguese. Like, yes, they come from the same root language, but they're different languages.
Yeah. And then of course, like cards in standard, which like theoretically should be supporting premium, don't. Partially because of the energy problem that we talked about earlier, where there's no way to get energy in premium. So even if they print like a pretty good generic card that you might consider playing, if it has an energy cost attached to it, like, fuck you, I guess.
Suck it, yeah.
But like frequently, the way standard is designed means that like cards don't translate well, because I don't know, off the top of my head, a deck like Laurel Narrow and Lyrical, where you have like the song orders, like the way you get song orders in standard is you ride up. Like your ride deck gives it to you. But once you go into premium, it's like, okay, you no longer have a consistent way to get song orders. So it's very difficult to play this deck now because you can't set up its general game plan
Yeah, or like, I don't know, Magnolia, because this is me. Just like, all right, you can have stuff swing from background. Now, granted, Magnolia is like cohort.
As soon as you stride, it goes away, right?
Yeah, probably the way to do it is to like Aquaforce has some stuff where it's like a dude can attack from back row, so you like tech it in, maybe, you know.
And then the other thing is like gifts. Like V was a mistake, so like gifts have become so impactful in premium that like you can't just ride a card that does nothing the first turn. Like as powerful as Persona Ride becomes once you get to it, you do still have a turn where like nothing is happening. And the fact of the matter is that like the various gift types are generally powerful enough to like impact the game immediately.
Yes.
You know, if you're playing a deck like Gear Chronicle or Bermuda Triangle, having just the one force marker where you can just keep bouncing cards onto the same circle over and over again and just keep getting that plus 10k matters so much for your power numbers.
Especially where like the hand size might be a little lower because it's early to mid game.
Yeah. I mean, those decks also just draw a million cards, but like...
I meant the opponent. Like the opponent doesn't have as much to guard with.
Yeah, so like the fact that you can like shore up your numbers by just like abusing the same circle over and over again is like really important, and giving that up to maybe be able to do something 5 turns into the game is generally not good enough.
I'm wondering if like, so, you know, with OG era, V, G, D, all the E letters, are like kind of like a blended family in premium, and Bushiroad doesn't seem willing to like engage with that at all. They just kind of like, I'm going to the corner for some cigarettes, I'll be back in a bit, and then they just don't, you know. So then what? The obvious answer is, okay, give the energy crest to premium. That seems like an easy fix, right? That could just be like a press release. You don't even need to be like, all right, we're printing new. No, just okay. The new
they would need to change the rules again, but like they are already able to do that for like when they introduced the quick shield. Like I would like honestly, they should just make it a rule that like when you ride grade 1, you just get the energy crest. And like the same rules apply to the energy generator and standard, for like if you're going second, you get to energy charge 3.
Yeah.
And that just like immediately changes the way like premium could be played.
Yeah. It also changes the way that premium players now look at your sets. Because instead of ignoring them and then having maybe like either a friend who plays standard or whatever come up to you later with like something that slipped through the cracks, they're now at least actively going through the set being like, okay, that could work, and then giving it a try. And then maybe that's how you get more crossover from one format to the other, instead of putting the iron wall between them. So to sum it all up, is Bushiroad lazy? First off, I made a poll on our Twitter just to see what people think. It got 87 votes at the time of recording this episode. 37.9% said yes, Bushiroad is getting lazy. 20.7% said no, and 41.4% said somewhere in between.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is somewhere in between. So, like, their card design is very safe at the lower rarities. Like, all of the interesting cards tend to be, like, high rarity, tend to be archetype lock, and whenever they do introduce new generics, they're usually in festival collections and high rarity.
Right.
Or they're promos.
That's my favorite one.
God damn it.
And like sometimes they're promos for no reason, because they've proven that they can just put those cards in the set. Like the most recent wave of $30 promos that band-aid over problems with the deck are all the like cross rides for the glitters. So they all have a promo that let you like cross ride immediately, so that you don't have to like wait a turn to do the good play. And so those are all like $30+ right now. But they made one for Michu, which was the glitter for Lyrical, that's like in the set and is a common. So they can just do that.
What the hell are you talking about? I can't believe that happened.
Yeah, because I remember like Kairos, the guy that normally posts all the like translations for all the reveals, he like revealed the new Michu, which is like a cross ride styled after all the other glitters, unlike regular Lyrical dress ups. And he was like, "Oh, can't wait for that like Shonen Jump promo that's going to be $30." And then like the next card they revealed was the Ride Fixer, as a common in the set, and it's like, so you can just do that, but you choose not to. We need to have the 30th card that says plus 5,000 if you're like, if you have 4 or more damage, get plus 5k power and shield, like, or you could just put the Ride Fixers in the deck as like rares.
So
like,
we do make
that's
food.
Fine.
Like, I remember when I first started playing Yu-Gi-Oh in like 2008. This is Teledad format, and there was all this complaining because Teledad was like, $100 something card, and it's a secret rare in the Phantom Darkness, and in Japan it was a rare.
Yeah,
they can just do that. They can just put them in the set.
Yeah, I mean Konami does this all the time, where it changes rarities.
Yeah, that I know by this point, but at the time I was very, very dulled by the concept of it, and now here we are again, where at least it's. What if it's them testing the waters, where they're like, yes, good?
I mean, I don't believe that, because every time they reprint a card, it's always like the exact same ratio as the original printing, so like the price doesn't change on it at all.
Right.
Like
Bracing
they just
Angel Ladder.
Yeah, although apparently Bracing Angel Ladder is more affordable with the reprint.
Well, because it just means more copies out there, but that doesn't, like, trying to pull it is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, and they do that with like everything. How many times have like various staple cards been reprinted and then still end up being like $20+ regardless?
Sad to see. So yeah, the question for this one's easy. Do you think Bushiroad's getting lazy? Why or why not? In the comments below, or on Twitter at Nexus at Nights if you want to support the show. Patreon.com/Nexus at Night. Thanks to Darren, Cole, Josh, Jeremy, GR, Ali, and Tony, our $10 patrons. If you want to be like them, you get your stuff a day early, as well as thanks at the beginning and end of the podcast. Or if you want to just throw us $5, you get a whole ass bonus show with us every week. If you're a $10 patron, you get that too. Or if you just want to join our Discord, throw us $1. Where can they find the rest of us?
Find me on Twitter at Wiggums, 2Gs.
You can find him at Plasma Eclipse. I think he got caught up with something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Me at Atlas Novak in all the places. You can follow my other podcast, Generation Dan, which recently had its 150th episode release.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So that's every Friday, and then my other podcast, Last Minute History, comes out every other Monday, also on the Generation Dan RSS feed. So the next one, I think, is this coming week, and we'll be talking about Martin Luther and the Protestant Reformation. So that's all. Yay. So thanks, everybody, for listening. Until next time, I was Atlas.
I'm still Matt.
I'm Root Beer.
And have a good night, everybody.